This is where we need Myles Garrett. This is where we need Jadeveon Clowney. This is where we need MJ Emerson. This is where we need Greg Newsome. If Denzel Ward plays, this is where we need Denzel Ward. This is where we need these guys to be who they're paid to be, which is playmakers, right? The defense is not good, but we do have playmakers, and we need those playmakers to make plays, sacks, turnovers. We understand that we're going to give up a 3rd and 15 at some point in this game, and it's going to be very frustrating, but we can't give up 3 of them, right? That's what I'm saying, right? Just make plays. We know things are going to happen. We're going to have 2 or 3 bad drives. They're going to put up points. We know this about this defense. It does suck, but make plays. Get the stops when you need it. Be decent in the red zone. Get some turnovers. We can live with everything else. Another week, another game, another matchup in which the Browns have a reasonable chance to win a football game. But we know that there are some elements of this team that I think we could put it best are not trustworthy or have proven themselves to not be trustworthy. So what's going to be the game plan today? Well, let's talk about it. And we're going to start with the defensive side of the ball. Well, actually, no. Let's go with the offense. The defense is going to be more important. I think the defense is going to be more in depth. This side, I think I want to talk about the offense, the Browns offense at least, versus this Patriots defense. And when I watch this Patriots team, overall, I don't really see any massive problems for this Browns running attack and this Browns offense. At this point, the Browns offense has looked like it has for 5 weeks in a row against varying levels of defense, varying styles of defense. They are who they are. They're a decent offense. They're pretty good to decent offense. I would say they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They're not great, but they're pretty good offense. Nick Chubb's really good. He's probably in that great category. He's been playing great football, 6.1 yards per carry, second in the league, and rushing attempts is very hard to do. So Nick Chubb's good. Offensive line, I think they're going to be fine with their matchups. I don't think they have any linebackers that pose a problem. When you look at the front seven versus the Browns running attack, I don't have any worries there. When you look at the front seven of the Patriots versus the Browns pass blocking, I don't really have any worries there. There's not any matchups I think are extra exploitable this week. I think this is a pretty pedestrian matchup between 2 pretty good units. And I think the Browns will be able to do what they want to offensively. Not saying that they're going to take over the game or control it, but they'll be able to get the points that they need to. The question is really going to be about the defensive side of the ball. Now, there is one guy on the defense, on the Patriots defense, I do want to have a deeper conversation about, and that's Jack Jones. And to do that, I brought in somebody who also covers the Patriots. Here it is. All right, so there was one player when I was watching the Patriots that really popped off. I think a couple of players that really popped off to me, and I wanted to have Mike Kadlick from CLNS. He writes for them as well. Come on here and just talk a little bit more in depth about the young rookie Jack Jones and Jonathan Jones. Well, Jonathan Jones is not a young rookie. He's like an 8th-year player. But Jonathan Jones, he was like mainly like a special teams guy for a while, and he got elevated into that position.
Yeah.
But Jack Jones, he's been really good. A 90 PFF grade. He doesn't have the most snaps. Like, he doesn't get, I don't know if he starts for you guys technically, but he's been on that wide boundary, been pretty good. Kind of reminds you a little bit of a Trayvon Diggs, where his ability to hop the route and then be able to catch the ball.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. This is awesome. Happy to talk ball anytime. So, Jack Jones, a guy who, like you said, he's the highest graded corner in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus, which, I mean, anytime the snaps you take are going to get you graded that high, it's obviously a good thing to see. It's skewed, like you said, because of the reps he was getting. He wasn't playing a ton throughout the first few weeks of the year because Jalen Mills, who's their cornerback one, was out there alongside Jonathan Jones, which we'll take this slow because there's plenty of Joneses on this Patriots team. But Jalen Mills and Jonathan Jones were on the outside. Jack Jones, who's a rookie, was not getting his reps. But then Jalen Mills went out with a hamstring injury. So the rookie got thrown into the mix. It was Jonathan and Jack Jones on the outside, and the rookie, Jack Jones, like you said, he's been a stud. 12 tackles over the 5 games, but really he was only getting reps in basically 2. Free pass deflections, the couple interceptions that I don't know if you all in Browns country have seen all the time, because the highlights might not get there anymore because the Patriots aren't all over the place anymore. But a pick 6 off Aaron Rodgers last week in the loss to Green Bay, and then or 2 weeks ago, and then another interception, a really athletic play off Jared Goff. Goff tried to look him off, went back to TJ Hawkinson, and linebacker had him in coverage, and Jack Jones just, fled to the ball, toe tip on the sideline, and came down with it. So he's been a stud for New England so far. And, it's really good to see, right? I mean, there's this stigma around Bill Belichick that he can't draft anymore and yada, yada, yada. But I mean, they've brought in plenty of guys over the last few seasons that have really impressed so far, and Jack Jones is one of them.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because you mentioned, he was a former USC player, and you hear, 4th round pick, and you're thinking, okay, well, maybe he's just on a hot streak. But then you look into his background. He's a former 5-star recruit. I think he was like number 2 or 3 DB in his class, like 29th player in his class overall when he came out of high school. Had some issues at USC, had to transfer to JUCO, went to Arizona State, and that probably is what affected his draft stock the most. So it's one of those, you take a gamble on a guy, but you know that the talent is there. And the talent is there. Now, with Belichick, he's going to be familiar with Jacoby Brissett just because he drafted Jacoby Brissett. How do you think he uses these 2 corners to kind of bait Jacoby Brissett into a mistake in this game?
I mean, I'm excited to see how they line up against them, honestly, because, look, the one thing that these Patriots defenses have done for years is take away the opposing team's best player and let the rest of you beat them, right? So, in theory, Nick Chubb, who I think is the best running back in the NFL, the Browns have the top running game in the NFL. They're going to do what they can in the front 7 to take away the run. So then it's all about matchups on the outside. You have guys in Cleveland, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, who's probably having his best season so far in his career. But then you go down, right? And I'm looking at their depth chart earlier, just kind of scouting this game out a little bit. And a second-year guy in Jonathan Peoples-Jones, and then rookie David Bell, the top of the depth chart seems like there's skill there, and that it quickly fizzles out a little bit. Excuse me. So I'm excited to see how they match up, and I'm also excited to see how many reps they end up giving Jack Jones at the end of the day, because now that Mills is healthy, yes, Jack Jones has popped, but he's one of those cornerbacks where he lives or dies by just his aggressiveness and the way he plays. So he can easily, we've seen it for 2 weeks, right? He can easily make a pop play, and then all of a sudden he gets burnt for a touchdown. So the way I see it is they're going to probably use Jonathan Jones, who's the older veteran Jones, as a guy who can, well, now we're talking it through, right? Maybe a Jalen Mills, if he's healthy, on Amari Cooper. Jalen Mills, your classic cornerback one here in New England, who has been kind of overshadowed a bit by the other guys, but he still plays quality football. Use him on Amari Cooper. David Njoku's going to, I don't want to talk about it like this, but he's probably going to be able to be shut up by Kyle Duggar, who's been a stud in the Patriots secondary at safety for a while now. And then you have guys like Peoples-Jones and David Bell, who I would probably take the Joneses against guys like that. We'll see how it ends up happening again, but I think they ultimately take away the run and just line up these guys against them. This Patriots secondary, go ahead.
Yeah, do you worry about the Browns trying to manipulate a way to see? Yeah, I'm wondering, this go one of 2 ways. The Browns could test Jack Jones, and I think Amari Cooper's as good as anybody that you want to test, because he's such a disciplined route runner that he can, if Jack does get aggressive and want to hop something, he's real patient with it. One of the things I worry about with that is that sometimes Jacoby doesn't wait long enough for Amari to make that double move, and he kind of just gets rid of the ball. But I'm wondering if they're going to try to test that, or if Bill feels comfortable with Jack in that kind of a situation, where he's like, hey, is he going to be disciplined enough to not bite if they give him the opportunity to bite, especially on the goal line where Amari, he has that famous drag route he loves to run on the outside where he just kind of cuts in, like he's doing the quick slant. It pops out real quick once
Right.
you bite. So I'm wondering what they're gonna do specifically with that. Are they gonna trust him, because he seems like he might be athletically at least most up to the task of doing that. But you do worry about, you win some, you lose some. But I'm wondering, since this game's gonna be so ground heavy, is he gonna be okay taking that gamble? Because if you just get one turnover, that could change everything in this game, given that both teams are gonna try to run the ball like 40 times.
Right. It's a good question. I think of last week against Detroit, where the week before that in Green Bay, Jack Jones had his first pop game, and everyone started to realize that he is a boom or bust player. He's either making an outstanding play or he might get turned over, like he might get his feet turned over on him, and the tackling's not there. It looked like the Lions, who going into last week had the top, whether you like it or not, they had the top scoring offense in the NFL. It looked like Goff and those guys like Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Josh Reynolds, they did try and test Jack Jones a little bit, and he stayed home, he stayed grounded, and was able to not get beat as much as we thought he would with the reps he was getting against this top offense. So I feel like the trust is definitely getting there with, the Patriots defensive play callers, Belichick and what have you, and this rookie Jack Jones. So he's earned the reps he's gotten. And yeah, again, there's this stigma around him that I've mentioned a few times. Again, the boomer bust factor, but I think they trust him, and I think they'll trust him against the Browns ultimately.
All right, Mike, I want to thank you so much for giving us that inside information on the Patriots.
Hey, you got it, man.
Appreciate you. Let them know where to find you again, man.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at Mike Kadlick, and then I also write for CLNSmedia.com and host the Patriots Beat podcast on there as well with actually Alex Barth, who you had on just the other day. So me and Alex are on there as well. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Mike Kadlick. That's where you can find all my stuff.
Thank you for that. Again, make sure you check out his stuff. Now let's talk about the defensive matchup. This is not the week to be super aggressive. I know people are going to want it because we got Gash. I don't think this is the week. I think if you come in this week predictably aggressive, like everybody wants you to, Bill Belichick will know that. And I know Bill Belichick don't run the offense technically, but he's Bill Belichick. He has eyes on everything. I think he will counter you to death, and I think he will play action fake you to death. This team has a problem with shooting to the first read. I think he even noticed that in his press conference, Bill Belichick, when he said the Browns are a very fast defense, right? And I think that means I can take advantage of their aggressiveness. If there's one week not to be super aggressive, this is the week. I know that's going to frustrate people because when the defense stinks, we always want to switch to aggressive and blitz more, but that's not the solution. Part of the Browns' problem when it comes to the run defense has been they've been too aggressive. They got to stay out of man early. Man's been working for them on third down. I don't mind that. But on these early downs and early in the game, they got to stay in zone just so they're not so susceptible to these misdirection plays that the Patriots, I almost guarantee you, are probably going to run. You have to see how they're going to attack you first because the misdirection stuff has been killing you, and what you cannot afford in this game is to go down early, right? We need the defense, if they're not going to be good for 60 minutes, need to have a couple of good plays, right? I understand that this defense stinks. I'm talking about Deion Jones coming in from not playing all year, starting on this team, and hopefully being much better than the starting Mike linebacker of this team previous in Jacob Phillips. Jacob Phillips, the Mike linebacker, like you realize how crazy that is. That we're hoping that, right? Like that's what it is. The Mike linebacker calls all the plays. We want Deion Jones coming in and we can do it. And that's the position we're in because his defense is not good, right? I want to push that point home. This defense sucks. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean you're going to lose every game because of the defense, but what it does mean is that, hey, the defense sucks. We're going to give up 4 yards to carry at least. We're going to give up 100 yards on the ground. Let's not even trip over that. We know that's going to happen. The defensive tackles are terrible on this team. And yeah, we could bring in Ndamukong Suh. I don't think that fixes the problem because if Ndamukong Suh was out here fixing problems, he would be on an NFL team. There's no solution right now. Unless you get a miracle trade from somebody, there's really no solution. Your DTs are what they are. Got to fix that in the offseason, but they are what they are. You're going to stink defensively. You're not going to be great against the run. You're going to give up 4 yards a carry. You're going to give up 100 yards. But your defensive edges and your defensive backs can make plays. And what I need this week is turnovers. They need to get a turnover. We need to get +2. We have not gotten +2 all year. When the last time the Browns had an actual turnover? Been a minute. Because that touchdown they had in Pittsburgh don't really count. It's been a minute, right? It's been a very long while since the Browns have gotten a legit turnover. So need one. We need one, hopefully 2. We're due. That's what can happen. If your defense is not good play to play, there are 2 areas in which you can be good at to live with it, right? You can be good in the red zone, which this Browns defense has proven to be decent in the red zone. I'm not going to go that far. They were decent last week. They've been terrible in the previous part of the year, but they were decent last week in the red zone. Not bad. But you need to be better in the red zone if you're going to be a bad defense, and you need to get turnovers if you're going to be a bad defense. Okay, you can live with the play-to-play bad stuff, but this is where we need Myles Garrett. This is where we need Jadeveon Clowney. This is where we need MJ Emerson. This is where we need Greg Newsome. If Denzel Ward plays, this is where we need Denzel Ward. This is where we need these guys to be who they're paid to be, which is playmakers, right? The defense is not good, but we do have playmakers, and we need those playmakers to make plays, sacks, turnovers. We understand that we're going to give up a 3rd and 15 at some point in this game, and it's going to be very frustrating. But we can't give up 3 of them, right? That's what I'm saying, right? Just make plays. We know things are going to happen. We're going to have 2 or 3 bad drives. They're going to put up points. We know this about this defense. It does suck. But make plays. Get the stops when you need it. Be decent in the red zone. Get some turnovers. We can live with everything else. That's what the Browns need out of this defense, right? Hopefully Dion can come in and just be in the right spot. That's all I want. Just be in the right spot, not be over aggressive, because that's been the problem with the linebackers. They've been over pursuing like crazy. So far to the point that when they do over pursue, they miss tackles, because they're running too fast to try to fill in gaps. And part of that's because they're trying to compensate for defensive tackle play. So we just need guys to be patient this week. Try to be as disciplined as possible. I know that's been a problem all year. This is not the week to be super aggressive. We do not need to do anything that's going to tempt you to get out of that discipline. This is a week to stay out of man early, play some zone. They're going to throw some screens. They're going to try to stretch you vertically. Stay in that zone. Stay patient. Stay disciplined and tackle. This should go without saying. Tackle. They didn't tackle last week. Tackle, right? If you tackle, if you stay disciplined, if you don't give them every counter play that they want to throw or fake play that they want to do, then you'll be fine. The Patriots, the offense is not that good. They're out Damian Harrison. I think they're going to be out Nelson Aguilar. And they're out their starting quarterback, or Mac Jones might be back injured. Either way, they weren't a great offense with Mac Jones. They're not a great offense with Zapp. And they're not a great offense with Brian Hoyer. This is not a great offense. We do not need to make a million plays to beat them. We do not need to be super aggressive. We do not need that this week. What we need is to be disciplined and sound and tackle. That's it. This defense can't be trusted, but that's it. Now, how do I feel about the whole game? I mean, this is like a lot of games this year. It's the Browns' game to lose. Browns ain't played in a single game where it wasn't their game to lose. This is not anything different. This is about, can you trust the defense? This is about, can people step up when you need them to? I don't have the answers to those questions, because this has been unpredictable at this point, how lackluster the defensive performance has been. So I don't know what to expect from this defense. I would hope that they can do the professional minimum, which is what I stated before. That's all I need out of them. But that's it for this game plan. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.